Evening, everyone. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're well. Hope you're getting on. Here we are again, week 11 now, unbelievably. Um, who'd have thought it, eh? Who'd have thought I could come up with that much nonsense over the last 12 or 11 weeks, but never mind, eh? Anyway, good, cool. So, as always, normal things are there. The link in the description takes you to the picture round this week, which is famous duos. I think there's 15 of those to have a go at. So either it's the names of the two, or it might be a group or what they're known as a duo. And then if you look at the chat, there's a link in there which will give you all of tonight's questions, so you can read along or read through at your leisure. And yeah, there it is. So yes, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Just comment in there from Matthew. Yeah, and we're welcome to June. We've done from there. This is the third month now that we have been doing this for. Well, there you go. Who'd have thought it, eh? But we carry on. So there's that. I'll also do the. If you had to go at the midweek teaser, I'll give you the answers to that at the end. They're not that. There's not that long this time, so I can probably run through them quickly at the end. And then we will get on. I don't know if we've got. Yes, so this week I decided we'd go through a little trip through the decades. So the questions are in decade order, starting from the 70s. So of course, most of you people of obviously my age and that we won't remember half of these, but certain others, Tony, they will no doubt have plenty of idea about much of this. So there you go. So we'll just give it a few minutes to get yourself sorted, get in the get yourself together, get yourself pen and paper, whatever you might need. Have a look at the picture round, and if you want to look at the answers as well, and most importantly, obviously, get yourself a drink. Okay, so let's see. We're starting off in the 70s, but they're also themed as well each round. So the 70s is all about the food of the 70s. The 80s is the sport of the 80s. 90s is all about its music. The 2000s are TV. And then the 2010s, if that's what we call it, is a general knowledge about that round. And then we're right up to date with the 2020, the first year of the 20s, and that'll be our current affairs, what's going on this year. If anyone really wants to know what's going on this year, what a year. Anyhow, right, let me know you're ready in the comments, and we'll make a start on 70s food. What a joyous thing that was. So with the 70s food round, I'm basically going to, with most of them, I'm going to sort of describe a dish or an item, and you try and tell me what it is I'm sort of giving you some clues towards, okay? It's not really particularly any questions as such in this round. More descriptions, and you tell me what they are about. So, question 1 for 70s food. A bite-sized pastry case, normally with a savoury filling. So a bite-sized pastry case, normally with a savoury filling. Is question 1. And question 2. Meat or cheese, Switzerland's national dish. Meat or cheese, Switzerland's national dish. And something very popular in the 70s. And that was number 2. Number 3. Probably the best known TV cook of the early 70s, with her long suffering husband Johnny by her side. So, probably the best known TV cook of the early 70s, with her long suffering husband Johnny by her side. Tell me who that is. And question 4. Its ingredients include pastry, eggs, and bacon, and it sounds like a girl. Its ingredients include pastry, eggs, and bacon, and sounds like a girl. And number 5, this one's a multiple choice, and it's a real proof of how delightful the 70s were when it comes to food. So this was known as a sweet salad. It consisted of canned pineapple, whipped cream, marshmallows, and Kraft pistachio pudding. It was named after the hotel it was thought to be invented in. But what was that name? Was it Watergate salad, Ritz salad, or Savoy salad? So it was a sweet salad consisting of canned pineapple, whipped cream, marshmallows, and Kraft pistachio pudding. And it was thought to be named after the hotel that it was invented in. I assume by a 5-year-old. The only person I would think that would put all of that together. But there we go. Was it known as a Watergate salad, a Ritz salad, or a Savoy salad? And that was question 5. And on to question 6, which I've spotted potentially the first typo of the day. If you are reading along, there you will find many, I'm sure, because I very rarely type them properly or check them, or I'm special anyway. I can't write. But it should say a tingly treat that had many names, including Fizz Whiz and Space Dust. But what was its generic name? So a tingly treat that had many names, including Fizz Whiz and Space Dust. But what was its generic name? It was pretty much always known as. And that was question 6. And on to question 7 then. This meat has been around long before the 70s, but the Monty Python boys made it famous again in a 1970s sketch. So this meat has been around long before the 70s, but the Monty Python boys made it famous again in a 1970s sketch. And on to question 8. Aliens, looking a bit like two mixing bowls stuck together, came visiting Earth in this decade, all to advertise this convenience version of your pie accompaniment. So aliens, looking a bit like two mixing bowls stuck together, came visiting Earth in this decade, or to advertise this convenience version of your pie accompaniment? What was it they were advertising? And question 9. This sparkling perry saw its peak in the early 70s, and despite its name, wasn't for little kids. So this sparkling perry saw its peak in the early 70s, and despite its name, wasn't for little kids. Okay, and number 10. No sophisticated dinner party of the 70s was complete without this dish. Although it sounds like something you should order from the bar, it's actually a fishy starter. So no sophisticated dinner party of the 70s was complete without this dish. Although it sounds like something you should order from the bar, it's actually a fishy starter. And that is the end of the first round. We've made it through the 70s. Whew. Just about. So have a minute to finish that off. If there's anything you missed on there, go back to, and then we will go on to the 80s, where we're going to just delve into what happened in the 80s in the world of sport. It's a good decade for sport, I think. Not bad at all. So if you're ready, we will move on to the 80s sport round. And question 1. Which country did Ben Johnson run for at the Seoul Olympics in 1988? Which country did Ben Johnson run for at the Seoul Olympics in 1988? And question 2. Which female tennis player won the most Wimbledon titles in the 80s? Which female tennis player won the most Wimbledon titles in the 80s? And question 3. How is Olympian Michael Edwards better known? How is Olympian Michael Edwards better known? And question 4. Which country won the FIFA World Cup in Mexico in 1986? Which country won the FIFA World Cup in Mexico in 1986? And question 5. The Rugby Union World Cup was held for the first time in this decade, but in what year? So the Rugby Union World Cup was held for the first time in this decade, but in what year? And a follow on for question 6. Who won that first World Cup? So who won that first Rugby Union World Cup? So that's question 5 and 6, basically. What year was the first Rugby Union World Cup is question 5, and then question 6, who won it? And question 7. In which city was the Winter Olympics that saw the debut of the Jamaican bobsleigh team? In which city was the Winter Olympics that saw the debut of the Jamaican bobsleigh team? Everyone's trying to remember cool runnings now, aren't they? I think about which Olympics it was. And question 8. Which Australian golfer's nickname was the Great White Shark? So which Australian golfer's nickname was the Great White Shark? And question 9. What was the score when Wimbledon upset the odds to beat Liverpool in the 1988 FA Cup final? So what was the score when Wimbledon upset the odds to beat Liverpool in the 1988 FA Cup final? And finally, of course, question 10. Which snazzy spectacle-wearing snooker player, try saying that when you've had a few. So which snazzy spectacle-wearing snooker player won the dramatic 1985 World Championship? Which snazzy spectacle-wearing snooker player won the dramatic 1985 World Championship? Question 10, last one in that round. Finish that off and we'll go back and grab your answers for the food and we'll go through the 70s foods. Okay, so hopefully you've got your answers to hand for the 70s food. And we will start off with number 1. Seems obvious. A bite-sized pastry case, normally with a savoury filling, of course, was a vol au vent. Oh. And question 2, the meat or cheese, Switzerland's national dish, was fondue. Question 3, the TV cook with her long-suffering husband Johnny was Fanny Craddock. And the dish that includes pastry, eggs and bacon and sounds like a girl is quiche Lorraine. And question 5, that delightful salad, which I'm sure you're all planning to make tomorrow. If only you could get hold of Kraft pistachio pudding. It was a Watergate salad. It was said to be named after the thing, thought it was created in the Watergate Hotel. It was also around the same time as the Watergate scandal that it first sort of came to be. So it was, yeah, that's why they called it that. Anyhow, so a tingly treat that had many names, including the Fizz Whiz or Space Dust. Its generic name is basically popping candy. That's what it was very first. It was initially sort of called. And question 7, the meat that Monty Python made famous again in the 70s was, of course, Spam. That sketch about Spam, and then obviously the musical Spam-A-Lot and so on about them. So that's that. Question 7. And question 8, them aliens that like a couple of mixing bowls or a couple of colanders stuck together. They came down to earth and to advertise Smash. And question 9, the sparkling Perry that's not for kids, Baby Sham. And finally, the dinner party starter that was on every menu was a prawn cocktail. So that was the answers for the 70s food. Well, now we've been through the 80s sport. We'll go back to the answers for that in a bit. We'll move on to the 90s, and we're going to do 90s music. Not a bad decade for music. Yeah, pretty much. It was some interesting things going on then. So, see how you get along with these. Question 1. What's the name of Britney Spears' first single released in 1998? What was the name of Britney Spears' first single released in 1998? And question 2. What is the name of the first album by Oasis? What is the name of the first album by Oasis? Question 2. Just realised I failed to number these rounds for this round. Getting sloppy, aren't I? Oh well. Anyway, question 3. Well, I don't know how you want to score this one, but name all the original members of Take That. I think you should be able to get them all really for a point, but if you want to have a quarter point, a fifth point, whatever, however many you get, that's up to you. I'm not marking it. You do what you like. But all members, the original members of Take That, can you name them all? I think you need all names, not just first names. Surnames if you really want to be giving yourself a good point. And question 4. Which band had a 1997 hit with the song The Drugs Don't Work? Which band had a 1997 hit with the song The Drugs Don't Work? And on to question 5. In which year of the 90s did Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain die? So in which year of the 90s did Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain die? And question 6. What were REM losing in their 1991 hit single? So what were REM losing in their 1991 hit single? And question 7, I think. Told you I should have numbered them. Yeah, question 7. Whitney Houston's rendition of I Will Always Love You shot into the charts in 1992 after it was featured in which Hollywood film? So Whitney Houston's rendition of I Will Always Love You shot into the charts in 1992 after it featured in which Hollywood film? Question 8. According to Natalie Imbruglia in 1997, nothing's right, I'm what? A dangerous question to ask, isn't it? God knows what's going to come up in those comments now. According to Natalie Imbruglia in 1997, nothing's right, I'm what? And question 9. Sinead O'Connor had a big chart hit in 1990 with which song written by Prince? Sinead O'Connor had a big chart hit in 1990 with which song written by Prince? 1990. And finally, number 10. Name the Bryan Adams song that was featured in the film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and spent 16 weeks at the top of the UK charts in 1991. So name the Bryan Adams song that was featured in the film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and spent 16 weeks at the top of the UK charts in 1991. And we've made it through the 90s. Doing all right. Little time machine, and we'll hop back to the 80s for the answers to the sports round when you've got your piece of paper ready and handy. And then we'll do the answers to the 90s, and then we'll have a quick break so that everyone can refresh their glasses or do whatever they need to do. So, the 80s sports round, if you've got those already. So, Ben Johnson, he ran for Canada in the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. So, the female tennis player who won the most Wimbledon titles in the 80s was Martina Navratilova. The Olympian Michael Edwards is better known as Eddie the Eagle. Question 4. Argentina won the Mexico World Cup in 1986. And question 5. The first Rugby Union World Cup was held in 1987. And following on from that, question 6. It was New Zealand who won it. They were co-hosted with Australia, and they won it in the very first one in 1987. Question 7. The Jamaican bobsleigh team, they competed in the Calgary Olympics, also in 1988. It's a good year for sport, was 1988. The Australian golfer, whose nickname was the Great White Shark, was Greg Norman. And another moment from 1988, the FA Cup final, Wimbledon beat Liverpool 1-0. Dave Besant famously saved a penalty. And question 10, the snazzy spectacle-wearing snooker player was, of course, Dennis Taylor, who beat Steve Davis in the 1985 World Championship final. Okay, so that's the 80s sport. The 90s music answers. If you grab those quick, we'll do those as well. And then we can have a break. As my glass is looking worryingly empty. Okay, so Britney Spears' first single in 1998 was Baby One More Time. And question 2, Oasis' first album was Definitely Maybe. And then question 3, the members of Take That. Here we go. Robbie Williams, Jason Orange, Mark Owen, Gary Barlow, and Howard Donald. Question 4, 1997 song The Drugs Don't Work was The Verve. Question 5, Kurt Cobain killed himself in 1994. Question 6. REM were losing their religion in their 1991 song. And question 7. Whitney Houston's version came from The Bodyguard, was the film. Natalie Imbruglia's 1997. Nothing's Right, I'm Torn. And of course, Sinead O'Connor's 1990 hit that went on forever, didn't it? God, that was number one for I can feels like it's still number one. Nothing Compares to You. Was that from Sinead O'Connor? That was question 9. And finally, question 10. The Bryan Adams song from Robin Hood. Another one that seemed to be there forever and ever. Everything I do it for you. Right, that's the end of the 90s. We're on to the 2000s, the first 10 years of the 2000s. We're going to do TV, but we'll have a quick break first, and then we'll come and do that. Sort yourselves out, get yourself anything you need, and I'll be back in a moment. Cool, see ya. Okay, cool, splendid. Hope you're all doing alright. Hope you've managed to get yourself whatever you needed in the break. We're still going. Check I haven't got any message to say that no one's actually heard anything or it's not been working for the whole time, which is I haven't, so that's good. I've got something else to drink, which is most important. Hopefully you have too. And yeah, let me know when you're ready, and we will carry on with the 2000s and TV from the 2000s. Some funny old things in that time. It's been interesting doing this week's quiz, I have to say, but I can't believe how long some of those things were. Sinead O'Connor in 1990, God dear. I still can't believe it was that long ago. Scary. But anyway, let me know you're ready, and we will carry on. Brilliant. So, okay. Right, so the 2000s TV, and question number 1. A stunt-filled comedy show starring Dom Jolly. So tell me what that was. A stunt-filled comedy show starring Dom Jolly. And question 2. Comedy drama set on a council estate and created by Paul Abbott. So what was the comedy drama set on a council estate and created by Paul Abbott? And question 3. Starring the character DCI Jane Tennyson, the last of the 7 series was in 2006. So starring the character DCI Jane Tennyson, the last of the 7 series was in 2006. And question 4. Can you tell me what the show that was running for 10 series from 2002, this MI5 drama starred Peter Firth? So running for 10 series from 2002, this MI5 drama starred Peter Firth. And question 5. In the series Breaking Bad, who played the main character Walter White? So in the series Breaking Bad, who played the main character Walter White? And question 6. Semi-improvised family sitcom starring Hugh Dennis and Claire Skinner as the parents. So semi-improvised family sitcom starring Hugh Dennis and Claire Skinner as the parents. And question 7. In this police time travel drama, Life on Mars, or in the police time travel drama Life on Mars, who played the role of Sam Tyler? So in the police time travel drama Life on Mars, who played the role of Sam Tyler? And question 8. Location has run from year 2000 and has had which 2 hosts from the start? So location has run from 2000 and has had which 2 hosts from the start? And question 9. Which series from the 2000s featured the characters Sheldon and Leonard? So which series from the 2000s featured the characters Sheldon and Leonard? And finally, question 10. In the series House, who played the title role? So in the series House, who played the title role? And that's the end of the 2000s. And we are on to the 2010s. What we call them, the 10s, I don't know. So this is just a general sort of look back at those 10 years and questions about them. Might be able to remember a few. And so we will start with question 1, obviously. Cadbury was bought by which American food giant in 2010? So Cadbury was bought by which American food giant in 2010? And question 2. The 4th of August 2012 was better known by what name? The 4th of August 2012 was better known by what name? And question 3. In which year was Will and Kate's wedding? In which year was Will and Kate's wedding? It's question 3. And question 4, sticking with the royals, which monarch was found in a car park in 2013? Which monarch was found in a car park in 2013? And question 5. Why did our shopping get a little bit more expensive from October 2015? Why did our shopping get a little bit more expensive from October of 2015? And question 6, again, if you're reading this along, I'm sorry, I've just read this again. I think I must have rewritten this a couple of times and it's written awfully. But it should basically say, what law change saw many couples celebrating on the 29th of March 2014? So what law change saw many couples celebrating on the 29th of March 2014? And I'm sorry if you're reading along with that and you've got something that doesn't quite say that at all. I've typed that awfully. I apologise. But if you're not, then just listen to my horrible voice instead of saying it. Which law change saw many couples celebrating on the 29th of March 2014? And question 7. A new £10 note was introduced in 2017. Whose face was on the back? A new £10 note was introduced in 2017. And whose face was on the back? People are now rummaging in their pocket to try and find their wallet and see if they've got it. But who carries cash at the moment? Not allowed, are you? Okay, and question 8. I'm sorry, I couldn't avoid it. This decade had to have it at some point. What percentage of the electorate voted in the EU referendum? Was it 63%, 67%, or 72%? What percentage of the electorate voted in the EU referendum? 63%, 67%, or 72%? And question 9. February and March of 2018 saw massive snowstorms in the UK. The storm was referred to as there was a massive storm through February and March of 2018, and the storm was known as the something from the something. Fill in the blanks for me, please. And finally, question 10. The town of Whaley Bridge was evacuated due to fears the nearby dam would burst following heavy rainfall. But in what county is Whaley Bridge? So the town of Whaley Bridge was evacuated due to fears of a nearby dam that may burst following heavy rainfall. But in which county is Whaley Bridge? And we have ended the 2010s. But we can skip back to the noughties, as they were known, for the answers to the TV round. If you grab those, and we'll go through them. So, question 1. The Stumpfield show starring Dom Jolly was Trigger Happy TV. The comedy drama set on the council estate was Shameless. Question 3. The character DCI Jane Tennyson was in Prime Suspect. Question 4. The MI5 drama was Spooks. Question 5. The person who played Walter White in Breaking Bad was Bryan Cranston. Question 6. The semi-improvised show was Outnumbered. Question 7. The person who played Sam Tyler was John Sims in Life of Mars. Or John Sim, sorry, not John Sims, John Sim. And the presenters of Location, Phil Spencer and Kirsty Allsop. Question 9. The show that features Sheldon and Leonard is The Big Bang Theory. And question 10. The person who plays the title role in House was Hugh Laurie. And so we are on to our final round of the evening, current affairs. Which is to bring us up to date. We're into the 2020s, although perhaps we wish we weren't. I think we're right off the start, eh? Things can only get better, as they said in 1997. Good old dream. Anyhow, sorry. So, current affairs. the 2020s. Here we are. Question 1. Who, who was assumed dead by a German prosecutor this week after being missing for 13 years? So, who was assumed dead by a German prosecutor this week after being missing for 13 years? And question 2. What will be compulsory on public transport from the 15th of June? What will be compulsory on public transport from the 15th of June? Other than paying for it, of course. And question 3. Buildings across the UK were turned what colour this week as a show of support for George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement? So buildings across the UK were turned what colour this week as a show of support for George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement? And question 4. Quarantine rules for travellers were brought into effect this week, but what is the maximum penalty fine you could receive if you are caught breaking the rule? So quarantine rules for travellers were brought into effect this week, but what is the maximum penalty fine you could receive if you are caught breaking the rule? And question 5. Tim Davie got a new job this week. What was it? Tim Davie got a new job this week. What was it? And question 6. How many guineas did Kamiko win at Newmarket today? How many guineas did Kamiko win at Newmarket today? And question 7. Whose new album, Chromatica, became the fastest selling album of 2020 this week? Whose new album, Chromatica, became the fastest selling album of 2020 this week? And question 8. A 258-year-old bottle of which spirit set a new world record of 118,000 for a new world record of 118,580 pounds at auction this week? Was it a bottle of cognac, a bottle of whiskey, or a bottle of absinthe? So it was a 258-year-old bottle of spirit which sold at auction for 118,580 pounds, a new world record this week. But was it a bottle of cognac, a bottle of whiskey, or a bottle of absinthe? And question 9. The government said it would change its immigration policy to allow people from which country to gain citizenship if necessary this week? So the government said it would change its immigration policy to allow people from which country to gain citizenship if necessary this week. And finally, question 10. It's a little bit self-indulgent because it's my son's birthday tomorrow. So I found out somebody else whose birthday it is tomorrow. So which singing sir turns 80 tomorrow? So which singing sir turns 80 tomorrow? And happy birthday to Sam too, which even though I know he's not watching. And that's the end. We are there. We have made it up to date, but we're going to skip back, like I wish we could, to the 2010s. Oh, to go back to those times. Go back to Brexit. Anyhow, so the answers for that round. If you've got them to hand, we will start. So, the 2010s, number 1, Cadbury were bought out by Kraft in 2010 for about 115 billion or something ridiculous. A stupid amount of money. Anyhow, so that was question 1. Question 2, the 4th of August 2012 was better known by Super Saturday. It was the day that the GB won 6 gold medals at the Olympics in 2012. Question 3, Will and Kate's wedding was in 2011. And question 4, the monarch found in a car park was Richard III. Question 5, why did our shopping get a little bit more expensive from October 2015? That was because the 5p charge on plastic bags came in on that in October of 2015. Question 6. The law that made many couples celebrate on the 29th of March 2014 was same-sex marriage was allowed from the 29th of March 2014. And question 7, the new £10 note had Jane Austen on the back. And question 8, 72% of the electorate voted in the EU referendum. Question 9, the big storm in 2018 was known as the Beast from the East. And finally, question 10, the town of Whaley Bridge is in Derbyshire. Just seen a comment on the comments. The answer to number 1 again, sorry, was Kraft, the American food giant Kraft, Kraft. They were the ones who bought Cadbury in 2010. So hopefully that's okay. So that's the answers to the general knowledge round from 2010. And we'll do the answers from the current affairs for 2020. And so, the person assumed dead by that German prosecutor, of course, is Madeleine McCann. And question 2, it will be compulsory to wear face masks on public transport from the 15th of June. Question 3, buildings across the UK were turned purple to support George Floyd and the Black Lives Movement. Question 4, quarantine travellers could be fined up to £1,000 if they are found to be breaking that quarantine rule. And question 5: Tim Davie became, or has been appointed, the new Director General of the BBC this week. And question 6: Camino won the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket. Good lord. So I'll try that again. So Camino won the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket this week. Well, that's not this week, today. And the new album, Chromatica, was by Lady Gaga. Question 8: the 258-year-old bottle of spirit that sold for a world record price was a bottle of cognac. And question 9: the government said it would change its immigration policy to allow citizens of Hong Kong to become British citizens should China implement this security law that they are threatening to do. And finally, the birthday boys, Sam, and also the singing sir is Tom Jones. He is 80 tomorrow. So we have only got left now the answers to the picture round. If you did that, if you followed the link on the description for this stream. So they were: number 1 was French and Saunders. Number 2 was Tom and Jerry. Number 3 was Laurel and Hardy. Number 4 was Riggs and Murtaugh, Lethal Weapon. Number 5 was Saint and Greavesy. Number 6 was Baddiel and Skinner. Number 7 was Bodie and Doyle. Number 8 was the Pet Shop Boys. Number 9 was Sooty and Sweep. Number 10 was Jay and Silent Bob. Number 11 was Tubbs and Crockett, Miami Vice. Number 12 was Del Boy and Rodney. If you said Batman and Robin, fair enough, but it was Del Boy and Rodney really was what I was aiming at. But Del Boy, but Batman and Robin or Del Boy and Rodney is fine. Number 13, Pinky and the Brain. Number 14, Punch and Judy. And number 15 was Albert and Costello. So, if you did the midweek teaser, which was, I quite liked this one this week actually, when I sort of, it was a discovery for me too. I didn't realise that there was different symbols for the zodiac signs. So you had the astrological symbol, and then what I would regard as the more traditional one that I knew. But they are quite, some of them you can see when you put them together, you can kind of see where they come from. But you had to match up the two and tell me which one they were. So I will post this as well, this answer. I will put a link on this on the end of this video. Once it goes up as a video, I'll put a link to these answers, and on the midweek teaser itself video, I'll put the link to the answers. But if you've got them to hand, and I can quickly run through them now for you. So they were: 1 went with C, so it was 1C, and that was Capricorn. 2 was with E, and that's Aquarius. 3 went with A, and that's Pisces. 4 went with I, and was Aries. 5 went with K, and was Taurus. 6 went with G, and was Gemini. 7 was with H and Cancer. 8 was with L and Leo. 9 was with J and Virgo. 10 was B and Libra. 11 was F and Scorpio. And 12 was D, Sagittarius. So, as I say, I will post those as well in case you didn't have that to hand or it was a bit confusing to try and figure out there. Thank you. Yeah, thank you to everyone who's saying thanks on the comments there. It's great. Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, next week, if you want, we'll carry on. We're still kind of locked down. I don't know. No one seems to really be locked down anymore. But if you want to carry on, we'll carry on. It gives me something to do. I don't have an awful lot else to do really, apart from work. So I don't mind. So yeah, if you all want to turn up and listen to my awful voice and look at my terrible face for another hour on a Saturday night, if you've really got nothing better to do, then I'm happy to be here and do it. So cool. I'll see you all then, I guess. Take care, everyone. Try not to go back to work too much. Try not to work too hard, and stay safe. And I'll see you next week then. I'll be on the chat for a little bit if anyone wants to hang around and chat. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.